Hi everyone and welcome back to the Football Tribe EG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. I hope you're having a wonderful week. Uh, Plenty of things to talk about, but today we'll focus on the last match day of the UEFA Champions League. That's match day 8. But before we get to that, we'll take a trip to London where we'll speak matters Arsenal, where the Gunners have made their appeal for Miles Lewis Skelly's red card that was issued to him by referee Michael Oliver in their 1-0 victory against Wolverhampton Wanderers at Morenix on Saturday. They put in that appeal, and should they get that won or overturned, that means the youngster will be available to face off Man City in the weekend, who they do play. That is in the Premier League for the return leg. Remember, the first leg between the two sides did end in a 2-2 draw with Broad Erling Haaland asking Mikel Arteta, perhaps rudely, depending on which way you interpret it, or disrespectfully, by telling him to stay humble, and all the shenanigans that we did witness with John Stones did score the equalizer late on in that particular game. Of course, Broad Erling Haaland again picking up the ball from the back of the net and smacking it in the back of Gabriel Magalhaes' head, and all those kinds of things. The red card that was issued to Leandro Trossard, of course, it was a bit audacious because it was the result of a second booking. The second booking being the result of him kicking the ball away after the whistle had gone. What the referee then again, Michael Oliver, deemed to be an attempt to delay a restart. Of course, news has already come out that it will be Paul Tierney that will be in the VR at the Emirates Stadium when the two sides meet. But Arsenal are appealing to have that red card lifted. Hopefully, they will succeed. In the other news from the Gunners Cup, Martin Odegaard, after missing that weekend game against Wolverhampton Wanderers, has returned to training ahead of their UEFA Champions League game against Girona. There, the Spanish outfit that will be on match day 8 of the UEFA Champions League. Then Mikel Merino is also back in training, but the training action does come a little too early for the likes of Ben White and Takahiro Tomiyasu, who are said to have returned already to the club and are doing some indoor physio works in there to get themselves fit to see that they can return to the field. The other player that did have concern was Kai Havertz. Of course, Arsenal did play majority of that game with a man less, so that meant that players had to run more. It led to a bit of cramping, and Kai Havertz was suspect for that particular kind of thing, with fears that he may have suffered a hamstring, but he has since recovered well and has returned to training. Come their fixture against Girona in the UEFA Champions League, personally, given that he's the only forward that they do have available, I do not think Mikel Arteta will be eager to start him in that particular game. But you never know. Mikel Arteta can oftentimes be a stubborn manager who does what he wants regardless. And then, of course, that's the reports or all the news that is coming from the Arsenal camp. Transfer-wise, no activity from the Gunners, although it is reported that they did make inquiries to Aston Villa about their striker, John Duran. So, we'll wait to see. But, of course, Aston Villa are saying they are not willing to sell unless a very tempting offer is put on their table, because this is the same player that West Ham United tried to sign last summer, but were cut out from Aston Villa's £40 million demands, and then the player went on to sign a new contract. I think it was a 5-year deal with the at Villa Park, and then that means his price tag goes up even much higher. He's of course a wanted man, not just for Arsenal, but for West Ham. They still do hold interest, while Everton, I do not think they can afford him, despite their interest in the young striker there in John Duran. Anyways, let's talk matters UEFA Champions League. What would be termed as the group stages of the UEFA Champions League does conclude on Wednesday night, with all fixtures kicking off at 11 p.m. So we have no fixtures today on Tuesday. We have no fixtures starting early kickoffs and that kind of thing. Reason being, We do not want any form of syndicate. It's the last game of the group stages, and just like we have always had so in big tournaments at the group stage levels, that different groups are played at the same time on the final game when it comes to the Euros, the FIFA World Cup, the Africa Cup of Nations, and all that kind of thing. So, to avoid any form of syndicate whatsoever, all games will be played tomorrow. That's Wednesday night at 11 p.m. at East African time as the official kickoff time. So, do look out for that action. Of course, there is a lot to play for many teams, the likes of Manchester City. Manchester City do come in their final game when they are seated 25th on that UEFA Champions League table, which means if they cannot lift themselves out of that place, they will be automatically knocked out of the UEFA Champions League. But the run of fixtures, I'm sure you already know about enough of those fixtures, but we'll run through some of them that will be coming your way. Aston Villa will be up against Celtic. Barcelona will be at home against Atlanta, while Bayer Leverkusen will host Sparta Praha. Bayern Munich will be up against Slovan Bratislava, while Borussia Dortmund and Shakhtar Donetsk will face off at the Sigino Iduna Park. Real Madrid will make the humble trip to Brest, while Dinamo Zagreb will be up against AC Milan. Arsenal will be away to Girona, while Inter Milan will host AC Monaco. Juventus will be in Turin to host Benfica, while Lille will be up against Feyenoord. Man City will be against Club Braga, and then PSV Eindhoven will entertain Liverpool, while Atletico Madrid will face off with RB Salzburg. Sporting CP or Sporting Lisbon will be up against Italy's Bologna, while Sturm Graz will entertain RB Leipzig. VfB Stuttgart will be up against PSG, and then Young Boys will be up against Crvena Zvezda. So that's the run of the UEFA Champions League fixtures that will be coming your way on Wednesday. Of course, you can let me know your predictions and all that kind of thing, or your thoughts down in the comment section. But like I said, because it's a league table format, this final game means a lot to quite plenty of teams. Arsenal have already guaranteed their progression through the last 16, but would want to make sure that they finish in the top 8 to avoid that first round of knockout games that will be played between teams that finished 9th and the team that finishes 24th on that UEFA Champions League table. So remember, those will be facing off in the early knockout stage before we confirm the final 8 teams that will be joining the top 8 teams for the round of 16 there in the UEFA Champions League. And those teams in 9th place, of course, it's Aston Villa, AC Monaco, follow Feyenoord, Lille, Brest, Dortmund, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Juventus, Celtic, PSV Eindhoven, Club Brugge, Benfica, PSG, Sporting CP, VfB Stuttgart. So those are the teams between 9th and 24th place. So there is everything to play for most of the teams that are below that, but I think that's only Dinamo Zagreb, Manchester City, then Shakhtar Donetsk. Of course, they would have to score at least 7 goals to even brighten up their chances of making it to the final 16. Anyways, that's what I had for you. Do let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll see you in the next time. Stay blessed.